With the Animation Chronicles coming out this June, everyone is wondering what Konami will import from the anime. I got a separate video giving my predictions, but there's one archetype in particular that I've seen a lot of hype for, and that's Lightning's Armatos Legio deck. For those who don't know, Lightning is the main villain of Yu-Gi-Oh! Reigns, and he plays a Roman-based deck, something that people want badly. So in this video, I'll be giving my thoughts if Konami will print Armatos Legio. Without any more intros, let's just jump into this, shall we? Okay, so do I think Konami will print Armatos Legio? My answer is a maybe. While I would personally love this deck to be printed, there is one question I have, and I think some others have discussed this, and that's how will Konami print Judgment Arrows? This card is what the entire deck revolves around, and to this day, Konami has never printed it, and I would not be surprised if they nerfed the card from the anime. You see, the problem I think Konami has with Judgment Arrows isn't exactly the effect, but its link markers. What do I mean by that? Well, I think the biggest reason why Konami didn't give us Judgment Arrows during Master Rule 4 was that it would go against what Master Rule 4's purpose was, and that was to stop people from extra deck spamming with Fusion, Synchro, and Xyz monsters unless they had a link monster first, so they feared that if people had played Judgment Arrows, they can bypass that restriction. Hell, with Pendulums, if Judgment Arrow is out, can you Pendulum summon to zones that it points to? As for Master Rule 5, I feel like they still fear the rulings that Judgment Arrows might possibly bring for the long term of Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, I know a lot of people will say that all the things I mentioned would never happen, but I feel like in general, Konami didn't want to take a chance by releasing Judgment Arrows due to the possible ruling issues. Now, I'm not saying it's all doom and gloom, but I have heard some possibilities that people have suggested on how they can release Armatos Legio. The first one is that Konami will print Armatos Legio, but rework the entire archetype without Judgment Arrows. This could be a good idea, however, Konami at times likes to be faithful to the anime. While they do buff anime cards, they still want them to be played like the way the characters used them. An example would be the Advanced Crystal Beast. In the anime, they blew up if Advanced Dark is not in the field, and Konami kept that effect in. So, I don't think they'll print Armatos Legio without Judgment Arrows. The second one is that they'll make Judgment Arrows a continuous spell. Honestly, I can see that happening, and the way I can see it working is that it can only be activated if a link monster is in the main monster zone, and it doubles the attack points of all your link monsters when they battle. So this might be the best idea, as it would be less of a ruling nightmare for Konami. Though one thing I will say is that Konami might not even print Armatos Legio this year, as there are two other archetypes I believe who have a higher chance of being printed. The first is Blood Shepherd's Drones. You see, back in 2020, Konami hosted a poll to see whose deck would get printed, and Drones came in 4th place. As for the first 3 places, Fossils already won, Sun Avalon got printed eventually, and the Wicked Gods got some of their cards. All that's left now is Drones, and Konami in previous poll end up using the 4th place for something. An example would be Trap Tricks, who came 4th place in a structure deck poll, and look, now they got their own structure deck. So it's possible that Drones have the highest chance of being printed in this year's Animation Chronicles, in my opinion. The second archetype that I think has a higher chance of being printed is Windy's Storm Riders. What gives Windy a higher chance than Lightning in my opinion? Well, it's easier for Konami to print Storm Riders since they don't have to rely on a confusing card like Judgment Arrows. All they have to do is just buff the cards from the anime, which they can definitely do. Oh, by the way, while we're at it, if Konami prints Storm Riders, they gotta put some restrictions on Storm Rider Gryff 4. If this card is printed without any restrictions, I have a bad feeling that everyone will play it. Basically, you get to look at your opponent's hand, rip one of their spells and traps, and get a free body on board. Yeah, he's a once per duel, but that's still a lot of advantage, especially in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Looking and ripping cards out of your opponent's hands have been problematic since DM, so they gotta restrict this card in some way. Also, I know he sets the cards, but let's be real, most likely your opponent's gonna get rid of that card, especially if they're going turn 1. Hopefully, if he does get printed, he'll just say you can't summon monsters except Storm Riders, so that way he can't be abused by everyone. Anyways, that aside, we're moving on. You're probably wondering why I didn't suggest Hydra Drives. Well, I got a video on them coming soon, whether or not Konami will print them, so be on the lookout. Overall, while I do want to see Konami print Armatos Legio, I do understand that Judgment Arrows might pose a problem in printing that archetype, but who knows, maybe they will print them. One day. Well, that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.